Well, greetings everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Metaworld News. If you thought I started about 5 minutes ago, we had a glitch at this end, and I don't think we're broadcasting, but if we were, you didn't get much of me. Anyway, my name's Mal Burns. That's MAL and then BURNS. And if you squash that together, you got my Twitter handle, which is twitter.com/malbones, MALBURNS. We have an additional feed for this show, which is twitter.com/metaworldnews, again, all one word. And between those two, principally the former, you'll find all the links that are going to be mentioned, where possible at least, within this show as we go through the headlines. These are going to be our news headlines for the 2 weeks, oddly enough, ending the 31st of March 2020.
May.
If you're wondering why we're doing 2 weeks, it's because I got lost in hi fi. The real hi fi, or the new hi fi, that is hi fi as in audio. Last week, Kent By at Voices of VR decided to host an impromptu sort of stress test session to check spatial voices and stuff like that. And because I hadn't actually loaded all the stuff in the background and we're on a tight schedule here, at least we were last week, we had to pass on the news and put it all over to this week, so to speak. So I will mention that a little bit later. We had already announced that High Fidelity has relaunched using their audio codecs. It's you basically get a 2D map. It's on a web page, which is nice. You can choose your own map. And it can either be an overhead illustration of, say, a house or garden, or it can be something more exotic. Last night, I went to one which was simply outer space, so you couldn't really tell whether you were looking sideways or upwards or downwards or any which way, to be honest. Except, very conveniently, there was um, a space station thing with a "click me" on it, which popped up the NASA launch of SpaceX's rocket last night. So we watched that communally,
Fun.
so to speak, and it went rather smoothly, I must say. The
Good.
rocket launch, that
Good.
is.
Good.
It
Yeah, that
was
was great.
much, it was just slick and
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, it was
Not
wonderful.
like respect of old day NASA panic. And
Right. Right.
the two great things was showing the NASA control room where everybody had the three monitors set up, very slick and new, not the NASA of old. Not NASA, so NASA,
Yeah. Yep.
but also the thing I loved was that the astronauts are now using three touch screens in front of them to
Oh
guide
yeah.
to do all their stuff. They haven't
Yep.
got any buttons to press or levers or any of the old stuff. It's all touch screen. That I thought was probably the coolest thing of all because they were there, presumably having a lot of what do you call it, thrust going on as they were going up, and they all they were doing is putting their fingers on the touch screen and switching things on and off. It just, I thought, it just better not, it just better be. I hope the touchscreen technology is reliable,
Right.
which I'm
Right.
sure it is, But I mean, as much as pulling levers in the old days was, but just shows how far we've come. And I forgot to clip it, but somebody tweeted a picture of the original. I think it was Apollo, the one that went to the moon, and then more recently some of the space shuttle. This is the cockpits, that is, and then they finished off by showing the cockpit of what do we call it? It's not called SpaceX. It's called something else, isn't it? The contrast was just unbelievable. Anyway, enough of outer space. We're going to return to inner space. Oh, no, sorry, not inner space. Virtual space is what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Get it right one of these days, won't I?
Yep.
And go to our headlines anyway. And we've had a lot of headlines over recent times, of course, and particularly with the sort of pandemic of the moment, about things moving online and, virtual conferences taking over from real world conferences. And basically, the circumstances of the modern era are actually forcing a lot of people to move online pretty darn quick. Um, a friend of mine did a tweet in the week saying, "Please save us from the companies that are forcing their designers to recreate their real world offices in virtual
Oh
reality."
my. Okay.
But that whole, I know that's a good point because it just shows that even now we're doing it out of necessity. Some of the people running these companies still do not have a clue. They just think one medium's the same as the other. It's like, it's like the people who put their first websites up and forgot the hyperlinks. So what you got? You got a poster on the web. you know, talk about shop windows. That was all there was. Anyway, I will stop jumping into the rabbit hole at least as yes, because we've got a lot to get through. Um, One of such conferences was on last week. It was called the All Conference. It's quite a big industry sort of event for augmented reality and virtual reality, really. It was started a few years ago. Tish Shute, who I used to be on programs with a few times, was one of the founders there, though she's long since moved on. Um, it's become quite a big event, but of course, this year it had to go virtual. Now, the idea of virtual really seemed to be doing Zoom panels and Zoom presentations where the person or people on Zoom also sometimes swap to their PowerPoints and what have you and talked over them. Probably not that much different from the way a real world event would have been. And some events actually have breakout sessions that were in various different sort of virtual worlds and stuff. Now, OR is a quite high price paying event these days. Um, all that was really available on the web was their main stage stream. They actually have four different live streams, but you couldn't get into the other three. You basically got what they were willing to give you. Although I did actually put on a Twitter stream. I won't be covering them today, but on my Twitter stream, twitter.com/malbones, you will find, I think it's about half a dozen, maybe a couple more embeds of videos or sessions from the All Conference that were particularly interesting. One which went down really well was Rob Furness, who also keynoted at Virtual World's Best Practices in Second Life this year a couple of months ago. It was a slightly different talk, thank goodness, although there were similarities. And there was another talk which I've also put online, which was a woman whose name I completely forget, basically giving a talk on the history of VR from, I don't know, she was starting in the 1960s or something. She was quite a young woman, so it's not somebody, unlike Rob Furness, she's probably not somebody who was actually there at the time, more of a academic historian, a technology historian, I guess, but very interesting that was too. Anyway, you can look at my Twitter feed and get a few hints in that direction. And also, come Monday, the VR AR conference, which is in Europe here, starts. So I've no doubt I'll be spending another week distracted by talks and things of that. But my report on such can wait till next week. Meanwhile, I'm going to look at some links I've loaded from the last 2 days, and then I'm going to go and dig up on the fly, so to speak, important links otherwise from the last 2 weeks. So, starting with I've got a screen up at the moment, which, oh, I forgot to introduce James Out Loud here, who's operating all my cameras and chatting from time to time. Welcome, James.
Oh, sure, no problem, Mel. It's and again,
um,
sorry for last week with the conflict. I had a family conflict later in the day, so we just couldn't pull
yeah.
it together. But we'll make
I
up
don't
for
know.
it.
Yeah,
Yep.
a week off, and I'm totally thrown. I'm forgetting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be forgetting my brain next. So,
And there's a lot
well,
happening. This is a busy, busy time
there has
with
been a very
virtual
busy
worlds.
week,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
indeed, and will continue to be next week, I think. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, to get on to the links themselves, James will be hopefully showing you my desktop screen at the moment, which is on a separate feed. Um, this is the site edm.com. Um, uh, it's an electronic music site,
Oh, okay.
actually, EDM. But it's, well, many places I found this, in fact. But the famous Burning Man festival that happens in the, I think it's Colorado desert, or used to happen there anyway. Going for many years, and actually was quite a big inspiration on Philip Rosedale when he launched Second Life. And indeed, there was a Burning Life for a long while, and
Yeah, yeah.
I think there still is sort of. But anyway, like everything else, desert or no desert, social distancing means that they're going to have it online this year, and they've launched well, it doesn't seem to be an app yet, but well, maybe it will be. It's called Kindling, Kindling, a platform for virtual shared live experiences. And basically, oh, that's it for that one. Okay. Um, so that was the actual news. Now, this, yeah, as I said, this article is at edm.com. But to make life a bit easier for us, I also followed the links through. And here we are. Map your journey into the Burning Man culture. This is the site for Kindling. It's www.kindling.burningman, or one word there, .org. And basically the idea is you'll be able to scroll featured events or dive into places to gather, go to experiences, attend virtual parties and performances, engage with speakers and storytellers, and join projects that create good in the world. Yes, Ignite. Um, so certainly the way it's all laid out here looks rather um, ambitious. Sunday, May 31st, which believe it or not is today. I guess they're getting
Hmm.
going, aren't they? Desert Arts Freeview. This is 1 p.m. Pacific time, so not too long to go there. Um, so as I repeat, this is www blah blah kindling.burningman.org. If you actually go to the site when the show is over, of course, don't run away, folks. You might better go here after the show and then drop on things. Something called NomCom next week, June 3rd to the 6th. Again, starting at 1 p.m. Oh, Eastern time, in fact, 1 p.m. Eastern time each day. Um, read dispatches. They've got a special section on Medium by the look of it. Get involved. Up and coming events. Find your burn. That was yesterday.
Hmm.
Oh, well, yesterday and today. Well, you can see here quite a lot. And also a nice self-running kind of video at the top of the page too. This is Kindling. so definitely worthy of a look there. I'm sure anybody who's into things like the Burning Man Festival will find this online event equally um, uh, creative. I think is probably the overriding word. You know, expect
Sure,
the
sure.
unexpected as well as the stuff in the categories. Right, I'll put that one away, shall I? I think so.
You can.
Hubs by Mozilla. Now, it's quite funny. I heard Blair McKinter, who was on one of my panels last year at the Opensim conference, mention earlier in the week that something about finding uses for Philip Rosedale's new hi-fi deal with spatial audio. Um, in hubs. James, of course, here uses hubs quite a lot, and you, James, think that the spatial audio already there is more than good enough.
Yeah,
So
it's great. Yep.
yeah,
In fact,
we shall
it
see.
almost cuts off too quickly. You don't have to go very far from an avatar to lose the audio.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Your voice, by the way, is very low. We heard you, but not as loud as we could have done. So just for mention it.
Okay.
Okay.
Windows audio. Yay,
Yeah, I
yay.
know. Coming,
Yep.
well, you're out in the desert there, coming in from a distance.
Right, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay if you get closer, I think, to the mic or whatever. Right, so anyway, this is an article by Liv Erickson from Hubs about scaling virtual events using Hubs and the new Hubs Cloud. And needless to say, slightly illustrated. A nice little rudimentary build there. But she's talking about how to get on with and sort of do it all, basically. Um, so that post is at blog.mozvr, that's mozvr.com, blog.mozvr.com. Moving on. Right, this is a site called protocol.com, protocol.com. And the title of this post is not the photograph, but here we are. Coronavirus sent us home. Will VR bring us back together? Yep. Same theme, same theme. The pandemic could have been VR's moment. I like the way they say could have been. Yeah, and where did this Zoom thing come from anyway?
Hmm.
kind of, which is what everybody's been asking, even though it's been around for some years.
Yeah, I've been using
Um,
it for a long time. Yep.
yeah. I must admit it was pretty new on me a few months ago. You know, but I guess we live in a world. I used to use Uvu and Skype almost
Mm-hmm.
exclusively, and
Mm-hmm.
Uvu went. So when it comes to video stuff, I tend to think of Skype or broadcasting per se. But yeah, Zoom
Where
is
did Uvu
I
go?
oh, it disappeared a long
It
while
just
ago.
disappeared.
I, d-
Yep. Yep.
I think yeah, I guess it wasn't making money or something.
Yep. Yep.
It's quite good. I liked it because it was built from the ground up for video, whereas Skype was always for audio with video plugged in. Uvu was for video with audio as well, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
Zoom was built for video too. That's why I chose it for our organization because of
Yeah,
the video quality was just so much better than anything else at the
yeah,
time.
good. Your voice is coming louder now
Oh, it's
too.
better
Just
now?
right.
Oh,
It's
okay,
much
okay.
better. It's much better now. I don't know why.
I moved the little
Maybe
boom
you.
microphone closer to my mouth, so that must have done it.
Oh, right. So you're now booming.
Yep.
Well, I don't mean you're booming at us. You're just right. You're just
Okay.
right.
Okay, good.
Significant. Yeah, perfectly boomed.
I'm a
This is.
shy person, so I talk, I mumble, so that could be
Yeah,
part of it too.
we're not the only one.
Yeah,
Well,
right,
actually,
right.
yeah. Well, yeah. I used to mumble an awful lot. Not quite so bad now.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yes. Well. Yeah. Uh. Um. There we are. Mumbling rabbit hole over.
Mumbling accomplished.
Mumbling accomplished, yeah. Anyway, this is protocol.com. Just a general article on how coronavirus may possibly get kickstart VR again, sort of thing.
Mhm.
Okay, this is augmented reality post. It's simply arpost.co, not a com, not a co UK or anything, just a co. So arpost.co. And this is actually a roundup of day 3, which was Thursday, if I recall, of the All conference, the most wholesome day in the history of XR technology. And it's a roundup of the presentations of various things. Some of our friends here from Second Life may know Donna Davis. I forget her avatar name, but I certainly know her of old in Second Life. Um, um, she did a rather good talk, but there was some, as I said, Rob Furman and oh no, that was day 1, I think. Um, there was a lot of news from Unity, Nvidia, and HP, and some company called Microsoft who joined together with HP for some reason. Um, yeah, merging content with headsets and stuff like that. Too much to summarize there, but this is just one of the posts you may care to go to if you want a roundup. And this particular roundup is day 3. So that's arpost.co. Okay, June the 1st to 3rd. Now, we're on the 31st of May here. So, June 1st is understandably tomorrow. Tomorrow through to Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, across 3 different time zones. The VR AR Association is having their global summit. And this you can find this at VRARGLOBALSUMMITONLINE 2020 dot shed.com. Shed is SCHED and then .com. This is basically the link to the whole schedule of it's obviously a default template. This it looks very familiar from another recent conference, doesn't it? Um, okay, it's exactly the same formatting as
Yeah, that's
PWBP
Sched,
was.
the web
Yeah.
service you can use for schedules.
Um, yeah, basically, this tells you in advance what's going to be happening event-wise during the next 3 days, and I will no doubt be logging into a few of these things um, to play. This one here, Charlie Fink, should be a good one. Um, oh no, no, no! I'm not going to. Sorry, naughty me. It wants me to log in. It obviously doesn't know who I am here. Futurist panel. Yeah. Anyway, there's we as you can see. That was Monday. Then there's Tuesday. A whole load of stuff, basically. I can't believe if you're into virtual worlds or VR in any way, there won't be something there of interest. So that's I'll be reporting, as it were, and tweeting any interesting stuff during the week for that as it goes along. So in the meantime, you want VRAL Global Summit Online 2020, or one word, .shed.com. If you have a problem with that, simply go to my Twitter feed, twitter.com/malbones, and you will find a link, a shortish link for that long URL. Right. Uh, okay. Looky here. Looky here. I just happened to the same site earlier. Right, this is Forbes. So you want www.forbes.com, Forbes.com. And I've got to admit that I'd never come across this phrase before, but apparently it's getting to be used quite a lot. Digital embalmers.
Hmm.
Sounds a bit creepy. Well, I suppose it is in a way. Um, they're talking about using virtuality and all the rest of it to keep people living on after their bodies die. A new breed of professional is helping find a way for many to keep living on after death. And while many call them digital embalmers, a better term is keepers of our digital afterlife. And these are professionals working with people like Hollywood heavyweights, top brands, even CEOs, and regular individuals who want to define digital legacy technology and safeguard their presence in the future. And yep, the article talks to a number of people working in that area, which is interesting. I think. I mean, they're not talking about uploading your memories into a server that will get blown up like everything else in a nuclear holocaust. But yeah, cynic he is. The general gist of an afterlife there, and I must admit, it's quite nice to think that you might pop it one day and that some semblance of you lives on, even if it's only an avatar that looks like you with a
Yeah.
few sound samples of your voice.
This
But
this is an
you can,
aspect of the virtual beings conversation that is
yeah,
happening from time to time, and the idea that an artifact, something created by a human, is going to have a persistence after they're gone. And
yeah.
I like the digital being take on it myself. I think that's a fascinating approach. I think Kermit the
I
Frog
do
could
too.
be a
I mean,
digital being, that is populated by different agents. But
oh, you mean a sort of collective? Uh,
it's a
I
thing
mean, we've
unto
always,
itself. Yeah.
people, artists who do artworks and make statues and things, and even architects who make buildings. What the old in the old days when they were long-lasting materials. Buildings they create these days will fall down in 30 years if they're
Yeah.
not blown
Yeah.
up before. Um, yeah, but humans have always had this idea of creating things to live on after them. I suppose ultimately it's down to reproduction, and your children are supposed to live on with your genes or whatever. But put tangible things down. Now, I find it a lot. I'm not very young anymore, and I keep thinking, well, I've got a big library and I've got all this stuff. Where's it going to go? How will it stay around if it stays around at all after I'm gone? And I keep thinking, well, this has definitely got to go to a good place. I'm not so interested in selling. I just want it to go to a good place where it be kept.
Right. Right.
It's a psychological thing, I think, more than anything else. But moving on, yeah. The obvious case here, though, is some years ago, I think Elvis Presley was the first where they created a hologram from film footage and stuff, and then made stage shows out of it. I mean, to be honest, the digital embalming thing could be very prominent there. If in 50 years' time you can go to you know, a, um, a concert, something that's more than just recorded in some kind of holographic technique, where the all the lyrics, the sounds, the voice of the personality are concerned are there, along with the visual lightness and able to, you know, contort into any position, and something that just is just so lifelike that it's a semi-living memorial to with AI in it probably to somebody who would be gone. I don't know. It's all fascinating stuff, and of course the drag about this is if we'll be gone before we actually see whether we're immortalized or not. That's the trick, you see. You can't check out in advance whether the project worked.
Hmm.
Anyway, moving on. We can't afford to spend all day on any individual post this week. I think we're too much. Oh Lord, not again. Um, Looks like some of my tabs have been going to sleep. Here we are now. Another familiar site. This is vrscout.com. VRSCOUT.com. And this is actually a post about training COVID nurses and frontline people basically using headsets, virus-free headsets. They do stress. This is Alice
Yeah, yeah.
Bonaccia talking. Two women-founded Exile companies have partnered to provide free COVID training, and as you can see, it's fairly rudimentary VR. But for training purposes, it's just the thing. You can imagine your sort of hospital, and they're they're showing the nurses and frontline operators how to do their job. And embedded in here as well is a more full video than the animated GIF up there. So great little article. This you'll find it at vrscout.com in their news section. This was published on May 27th, so it's just a couple of days ago. Right. Moving to educators in VR meetups, virtual conferences. The virtual summit is long since over. This actually happened in February, but it was mostly online anyway. But it was before COVID, so well before. Okay. Um, they do have a regular meetup in Altspace VR. Currently, that's about 5 to 8 different gatherings per week on different subjects and stuff. Um, Fairly easy to get into, Space VR. Not the most fully fleshed of environments, but they're quite good nonetheless. Um, Lorelli Van Fossen, she's another person who's gave a wonderful talk at the Virtual World's Best Practices
Yeah, yeah.
a while back, and yeah, she was talking about this to a great extent. Now, this particular link I'm on at the moment is Voices of VR, which is Kent Bye's podcast. It's Voices of VR, all one word, .com. And this is actually the only one this week. Earlier in the week, Kent also did do a video interview with Philip Rosedale using the new high fidelity voice system. And well, Philip was obviously having fun walking around to different angles. So Kent's voice was in the middle. Philip kept on zooming from side to side. If it had been on a stage, it would have been odd.
Hmm.
Anyway, proving what it did basically. But that hasn't appeared in the Voices of VR feed, though it is on Kent Bye's Twitter. So it plays on Twitter, so to speak. But always a lot of good stuff at Voices of VR every week, and that's the only one this week. But I think there were more the week before, and Kent, of course, was at the All Conference. So a lot of people are saying how they missed him, because apparently he's a very familiar sight at the real world virtual world conferences, like or because he'll be in the corridor interviewing people for Voices in VR.
Hmm.
People are writing and say, we missed you, because obviously there isn't the corridor or the side room or I mean, he will probably be setting up interviews and things offline, on private calls or stuff like that. But interesting, that the podcasters have kind of stuck because they can't hang out in corridors in a virtual conference. Oh dear, how awful. Right. Mixed Reality blog. This again is blog.mozvr.com. And this is a post from Blair McIntyre, from a couple of days ago announcing the release of their Web XR viewer. Um, it's the first web browser on Apple's iOS system to implement the new WebXR device API, enabling high-performance AR experiences on the web that don't share pictures of your private spaces with third-party JavaScript libraries and websites. Blah blah blah. So if you have been using Mozilla hubs and stuff, I think this ultimately gives you a portal on the iPad and iPhone to get into them too. Um, I must admit, a lot of the stuff here is a bit technical, so I didn't read it, or this, I think I did read it, but didn't take it all in because it's not my cup of tea. But anyway, the background information you might need for that is at this site. So exciting. I'd actually love well, of course, Mozilla do the, is it Firefox VR or something, which is a viewer which is optimized for actually seeing 3D WebXR
Right,
sites.
right, and for doing
Yeah,
in hubs. Yep.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, more connected with hubs and Mozilla there. So find that at blog.mozvr.com. Right. Okay. This is another podcast. At least it's audio. This is a site. It's xrforlearning.io. So that's xrforlearning.io, and then slash podcast, and then well, that should be enough human need for presence in XR. And this is Caitlin Krauss, who pops up all over the place, basically. It's a half hour um, talk, basically. Um, she's joined somebody called Julie at the podcast itself. Oh, yes, actually, and in fact, if you can't get hold of this, you can read the entire transcript. So, as well as the actual interview in audio, I'll link at the top, you can read the transcript of it too. Bit of a must for educators and people involved in VR for learning, etc. Really. Right, moving on. Okay, this is Medium again, and I did mention earlier on at the beginning about Burning Man. This is a section, I think it's outside their paywall, called at Medium, called Beyond Burning Man, and this article is called "The Zoom Economy as a Preview to the Multiverse." Yeah, yeah. Now that I don't know about Zoom economy, but
Yeah, yeah.
but anyway, it's this is sort of connecting a little bit. Uh, they're talking about the coming multiverse, blah blah blah. Lighter weight things like Online Town or Philips. Again, another mention of high fidelity there. Um, Game engines like Unity and Unreal will want to be the graphics layer, like the Lego kit for the metaverse. And yeah, there's a lot of wishful thinking in this article, I suspect, but it's nice wishful thinking if you like. It reminds me of hearing somebody like Will Burns talking about the layers of different things, where all the components of a metaverse or multiverse are layers that come together.
Hmm.
But of course, that requires interoperability, and even now we're not seeing too much willingness to interoperate. But we'll see, we'll see. So find that at medium.com, and it's not in the virtual library section. So it's beyond dash burning dash man is what you want. Hopefully you will find it. Oh, but you can always find it at twitter.com/malbones, where there'll
That's
be a
right.
direct link, of course. Right, this is virtualityreporter.com, all three words appear squashed together as one. And there's a couple here this week. Sensorian Galaxy are building the mecca of electronic dance music in virtual reality. This is another dance music thing. Um, Forbes apparently ranked Sensorium Galaxy in its top 10 promising technology projects. So I guess it's still up in the air at the moment, but Electronic music fans who can't always take the trip to Ibiza, especially at the moment, can now enjoy what this thriving nightclub scene has to offer, and their experience will not be limited by physical boundaries thanks to sensoriums, virtual reality, etc., etc. But you can read all about it here at virtualrealityreporter.com. Right, this site is called Tech Explore. TechExplore.com to be precise. TechXplore.com. And now take on evacuating virtual buildings, researching pedestrian behavior using VR and AR. I mean, this is actually quite interesting, but I don't know how many pedestrians are around to be researched at the moment. They're all
Yeah. Yeah.
forced into they're all in VR already. But anyway, this is from the Delft Institute, sorry, Delft University of Technology, and oh, it's always cute to read about these things. There you are. That's an old-fashioned pedestrian pre-COVID with a headset being tested for walking. Something big article that actually. So go figure, might be
Mm-hmm.
of interest. Okay, right. This neuroscientist is using virtual reality to revolutionize stroke treatment. Tej Tadi is the founder of a medical startup called MindMaze. I have heard of them all over the place, actually. Gamifying the rehabilitation for stroke survivors, and the results are inspiring. So, yeah, this is therapeutic stuff for stroke survivors, basically. More on the medicine side. Good stuff there. Um, yeah, on the medical front. And this is actually, yeah, this is actually at the Guardian Labs section. It says it's
Mm-hmm.
paid content, but I can't see any sign of paid. Okay. Yeah, you want www. The Guardian, TheGuardian.com, and yeah. Or follow me at follow my Twitter feed to get to that. It seems to be in a section on personal investment, so go figure. Right. Okay, virtualityreporter.com yet again. A general report here. VR and AR poised for growth. I keep seeing these, and followed by another article which is saying poised for decline.
Mm-hmm.
Depends on who you're reading, really, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting virtual reality reporter there. Um, right, Vroom. Yeah, I love this one. VRROOM dot buzz. Buzz. So this is Vroom Buzz. Oh dear, talk about. It looks great as a typed link. Less so when you try and speak it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
VRROOM dot BUZZ. And that's the site, and you want their VR news. AR and VR help drug addicts stay clean. Now, a similar theme to the last post, actually, which was about therapy for stroke victims. This is sort of the therapy for people coming off drugs of various sorts using VR. Similar theme, different demographic, of course, but there we go, more medical. Okay. All right. Now this site is okay. They're referring to the Augmented World Expo org, which I've been mentioning, and version 2 of a Monado Opera XR runtime for Linux. This is um, this is more WebXR, I think, but basically and particular focus on Linux. The site I'm looking at, I'm going to pass on it, but the site you want here is collabora.com, COLLABORA.com. And that'll tell you a bit more about Monado OpenXR runtime development, which is gaining momentum. So it doesn't look like there's much actually there yet. Right. GQ, the Ultimate Men's Magazine, I guess. I can't remember what. Oh, yeah, Gentleman's Quarterly. That one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I knew it had a name. Right. They had a post in the week. It's fashion, actually. Just could virtual shows be the future of fashion weeks? And they're looking at, whether, with COVID and everything else, uh, Uh, Although it was Plato that first coined the version of necessity as the mother of all invention in his Socratic dialogue, The Republic, it was Agatha Christie who, some 23 centuries later, made the phrase COVID-19 pandemic appropriate with the invention arises directly from idleness.
From what?
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, this is getting confusing already, isn't it? No, a quote from Agatha Christie is invention arises directly from idleness.
Idleness. Okay. All right.
Yeah, odd really. Yeah, but, well, yeah, you're running around bored, you're idle, and you think, oh, time to invent something, get creative. Um,
Yeah, Isaac
so
Newton
will
did
we
all
come?
his best work during the pandemic.
Yeah, will we come out of COVID with a vast amount of innovators and creators doing all sorts of stuff
Hmm.
that they would never have dreamt of doing if they hadn't been in lockdown? Who knows? Anyway, uh, Uh, what will shape fashion showcases if indeed they can no longer be mounted live? The answer, according to Blomstein, lies in the realm of virtual reality, etc., etc. So more PR for VR, as it were. Um, so that is GQ letters dash magazine.co.uk. GQ dash magazine.co.uk. Right, monthly roundup of this is Upload VR. We come here quite often. uploadvr.com, and basically the biggest stories of the week, but I guess a monthly roundup of the biggest news from May. And obviously, this included a bit of all near the end too. This is just a roundup page for those of you that want it. There's quite a few articles listed there, as you can see. Some of which would interest me, some of which wouldn't. But nice, nice if you want somewhere to go with big, a big list of stuff. Right, this is www blah blah cyberxr.org. cyberxr.org, and it's the Cyber Exile Coalition. This is academic thing, really. I think this is actually, yes, you can get a free copy of this. It's immersive technology standards for accessibility, inclusion, ethics, and safety. And if you go to their site, cyberxr.org, you can request your free copy, just like that. See, you just
Hmm.
go click, which I'm not going to do, and you can go get it, and of course the whole summary of what it's all about before you. I was going to say buy it, but no, get it. Okay, so there we go. Right now, remarkably enough, that's all my tabs done. That still only goes back to a Friday thing. I've got my Slack open here so that I can go back to Monday, 18th of May. Um, and hopefully these links are going to load and not just take me to Twitter. Yeah, that seems to be okay. Um, okay, VR is gone and Samsung's XR service is shutting down. Basically, just another bit of news there. You find that at vrfocus.com if you want all the details. vrfocus.com. I'm going to leave that tab open in the background for simplicity, actually. Oh, no, actually, I won't. I'll give you that one instead, which is my desktop, but it makes life simpler at my end. Right. XR Pete, this is Scar Ghost as ever. This was not last Mondays, it was the Mondays before. But basically, you just go to scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com. And obviously, you can. The news was the week before last was talking about Apple glasses coming, and the Unreal Engine being improved, and well, a whole load of stuff. And of course, in the meantime, um, if you go to that same address, there will be another link to the post for this last Monday's roundup too. Um, this is a quick jump because I'm doing this from Slack. This is a quick jump. This feed will actually be the Metaworld news feed. There was Hypergrid Business reported that a record number of OpenSim grids this month. This is David Karuki talking. 17th is the date on the article. So www.hypergridbusiness, or one word, .com is the link you want for that. Okay. Um, they also same site has a post on Second Life running out of land. I also really got a kick out of that one.
Running out of land?
And yeah, well,
Oh,
it's something to do with the move to the Amazon cloud and
oh,
stuff.
okay.
They just they've had an influx of people, and they seem to run out of servers. And I don't think they want to buy any more servers
Oh,
because
okay.
they're halfway through the move going to the cloud.
I wonder if that's
So as they get
mainland or new regions. Because there seems like there's a lot of mainland available.
yeah, I think there always is. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but
Hmm.
yeah, um, it's probably overall actually. I suspect if it's a financial report, it's probably more to do with islands than the
Yeah,
mainland.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But basically, that is temporary while they move to the cloud, I guess is the general
Okay.
thing there. Also, at Hypergrid Business, they had a report. Well, I might as well open it quickly. The third rock grid, which is one of the grids on the hypergrid, Opensim, raised over 2,000 US dollars for doctors. They had an annual No Borders music festival back in March, and raising money for Doctors Without Borders, which some of you may know as Médecins Sans Frontières.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so good on them. Um, all right, back to Metaworld news. Oh, that's a link to last week's. No, that's a link to 2 weeks ago's recording. Um, a chap from CRN in Australia just took a meeting in virtual reality, and here's how it went, he says. There you are. That is www.crn, CRN, and then for Neddy or Nestle or whatever, newbie, and .com.au. So crn.com.au. And yep, somebody went into virtual reality, and there they were.
All
Yes, and
right.
they're raving about it. They used Vive's sync meeting software to meet up on
Oh,
that one.
yep.
Yeah. You thought it was something else, did you? I like
No,
the I like
no.
I like the fleshed out avatars on wireframe seats. That
Yeah,
seems
yep.
odd. But yeah, there you go. Interesting picture there, really. But I'll grab it again later if I really want it. Right. Oh, where am I? Okay. Frontiers being the infinite. Being the victim of intimate partner violence in virtuality. First versus third person perspective. And this is a psychology post, by the way. But like everything else, there's just about everything in the world that is discussed in the real world can be discussed in relation to virtual environments too. Not the most life affirming topic, but nevertheless, um, a look at psychology in virtual worlds and partner violence. Okay, so scrolling down. Um, Dayton Limited here. Dayton are a virtual reality, or actually a virtual spaces company, really, based here in the UK. And they had a Dayton U Day, which is a kind of public day. And they decided to check out virtual conferencing environments and give their thoughts on them. So you've got Engage VR, Viabella, Somnium Space, Mozilla Hubs, of course, and Trainingscapes is their own product. So they've rounded it off with a comparison with their own product, or um, as it were. Okay, put that out of the way. Scrolling down the list, this list is much more. It's easier, but more difficult to scroll than the normal one. Um, Within have introduced an in-home VR fitness experience for Oculus Quest. which is called Supernatural. You can find more about that
Oh
at
yeah. Yeah.
virtualrealityreporter.com. So it's that long one again. It's actually a subscription-based full-body fitness service for virtual reality in Oculus Quest, basically. And yeah, but it was one of the founders is the guy from Within, Chris Milks. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, exactly. Okay, I better not try it. I'll be here till next week, in fact. Right. Oh, I thought this was rather interesting. Insect virtual reality gives us a
Oh
fly's
right, right.
perspective of the world. Now, I mean, I don't quite know how they do this. There's another thing actually about the brains of fruit flies, and talk of flies, they're really small. They've been mapping the brain of the fruit flies to work out how come they avoid your swats so well. Oh, hang on, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh,
Yay!
you
Thank
haven't.
you. I will not be disconnected.
Okay,
That's
good,
not,
good.
that's nice of that, isn't it?
Yep,
Right.
you've
Oh,
not left.
good,
That's good.
good timing there. Just turned at the right moment. Okay. Flies can distinguish the size and distance of virtual objects amidst complex background and incorporate dia. That's, I think that's been truncated somehow there. Um, but yeah, it's looking at flies and then getting them to navigate a complex 3D world. And well, apparently they do it. So you know, we've had animals in virtual reality before. I think didn't somebody put Oculus headsets on sheep or something? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. If it can be done, somebody would think to do it, won't they?
Right, right.
Anyway, it's quite interesting. I did read something else very recently about insects too, which I think it wasn't putting insects in virtual reality. It was more about um, mapping insect traits in virtual reality. But I don't know. This is a PsyOrg, so PH or Phys org. I don't know really. PHYS.org. That's all you need basically, as in physics. Right, moving down. Um, jump through there. Tuesday 19th of. Okay, do it yourself. Curation of UK galleries here. This is, oh dear, I'm at the. Oh, I've almost reached the limit.
Is it a
Hang on.
paywall?
It is a paywall.
Uh,
I think I've still got. I think I've still got one of my three left, actually. Yeah, it's a paywall site called the Art Newspaper, theartnewspaper.com. And it's a post about UK galleries mounting virtual shows in lockdown using a new digital tool. And uh, yeah, using their national image database, basically. It's an online tool called Curation, which allows institutions to mount virtual shows. Um, so if you can get through the site's paywall to read the article, it probably tell you how much you've got to pay to do the thing. I
mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, it gets some interesting. This is quite a good site for interesting articles in the art world, actually. But as I say, it's a paywall site, so there you go. Hello, virtual reality. This is the Manila Times. And can virtual reality help you get through lockdown? And virtual shows are coming to fashion weeks, which answers the question of the other post
Right,
for this
right.
week, doesn't it?
Put
Right, okay.
meet those people up.
Oh, actually, that looks very much like the
That's
same
very
article.
similar. Same art,
It's
same
the same
graphic. Yeah.
it's the same graphic. Yeah, actually, it's a different article, but same site, same graphic. It's what they call a rehash, I think. This is at The Guardian, theguardian.com, TheGuardian.com. Can virtuality help get you through the lockdown? And again, it's oh, oh, I thought that was on. Yeah, Guardian is always free, but they do pester you for donation. Yeah, so as you can see, they go through um, various various things that might be able to help you in lockdown, whether it be Old Space VR or Beat Saber or don't know what Super Hot is. They're covering games here, of course, too. So it's basically occupying yourself in VR. Supernatural, which we mentioned earlier, V-Time XR uh, headsets, the client. So that's quite a list here of things that you might be interested in. Most of which I think our viewers at least will be familiar with already. But there you go.
Hmm.
Right. And this is the Manila Times, which wants to give me pop-ups, and I'm saying no, thank you. Hello, virtual reality. Okay, another PR thing, I think, from a website. I guess if it's in Manila, it's a bit out of the mainstream, isn't it? Um, Somebody has discovered VR reports surfacing in their news feed, and they're taking a look at them for us. Gosh, golly. Right. So while that was going on, I scrolled down a bit here. Uh, Kiwi company wants to back up the planets in VR. This I thought was quite fascinating.
Mm.
This is from
Hmm.
later last week. Not so much a mirror world. They just want to back up the entire planet visually using VR. Um, it's Reality Virtual as the company, and they want to recreate the globe. The company got a grant from Epic Games. Well, that will help it accelerate the process. They use crowdsourcing to increase the amount of visual content the company acquires and custom built AI processes to help reduce the amount of actual human labor involved in creating it. Um, I took part in a very similar thing a few years ago now. Mikazook was a game company doing it, and they made me a 3D avatar based on my photograph of me, and it was over the shoulder shot, so I couldn't see what my avatar looked like until I ended up on French television.
Mm.
They
The
sent
best
me a
place
clip
to
of
do
it.
that, right?
They sent me a clip of the article of a news item that had been on French television about the world. I saw my avatar for the first time, and I cringed and thought, well, uncanny valley or whatever. Never again. I'm going to stick to avatars that are what I want to look like rather than what I necessarily do look
Hmm.
like. Anyway, the anecdotal thing for you there. It wasn't that bad actually, but yeah, very little here, but nice idea. Mika Zook's idea was a mirror world. They were having people all over the world upload photos of where they lived and the areas they lived in. They were opening not Google Maps, but open source mapping technology to put the maps of the planet together with the uploaded content. And then they built, for a start, they built Times Square in New York as a virtual reality. Um, so all the stuff, including this session on French TV, was in Times Square. Um, but something like that is an extraordinary, whatever tricks of the trade they use, that is extraordinary hard work and a long-term proposition. And Mikazu certainly, they're a very popular, Facebook game type company, but they were never going to get back into something that big. A mirror world, really. So there's an audio proportion of this as well. So when you get to the sides, you can play the audio text first with John Coesia. So which means I've now got to read out the L, which is just as bad. It's JohnKoetsier.com. John Coetsier or something similar, but that's the spelling if you want it. Okay, put that one away. Um, okay, I'm going to scroll down now. I'm going to leave some stuff out because of time here. I've still got a week to go scrolling down here. Um, okay, this is about how to measure something called your IPD. If you're a virtual reality headset user, Um, it's important for you to know what your IPD is. It stands for interpupillary distance, which means the distance between the center of your eyes. And there's an app for iOS, iPad, or iPhone called iMeasure, which is free, and um, you're able to measure your IPD with it, which is useful, I guess.
As advertised.
Yes. Um, REMS VR lab. Okay, okay, go past. Okay, some of these are from other feeds. Reach VR. Okay, stick with that. Right, okay. Getting straight up here. 35 virtual reality statistics that will rock the market in 2020. Don't you love it?
Mm-hmm.
This is a site called Tech Jury, techjury.net, and they got a load of statistics for Maria and anybody else listening, I guess. Um, don't know how relevant all of them are, um, but if you're into statistics and stuff, they've got enough of them there for you. Right. Um, oh, typically, right. So you end. Some of these links just take me to my own Twitter. Wonderful. Okay, the gloves stay on in demoing VR surgical app Precision OS. Um, this is supposed to vrfocus.com, VR the letters, then focus.com, and a surgical training specialist, Precision OS, demonstrating a look at their platform. So this is surgical training using Precision OS. It looks quite fully formed, that one actually, but there we go. It looks like they've got their own headset too, or maybe they've just branded somebody else's headset. Okay, don't need that. Reach VR, first web platform creating, remixing, and sharing volumetric VR using real people and places. Now, I'm not quite, I haven't signed up for this, I don't think, so I haven't actually got into it. Emblematic Group is so familiar. I'm trying to think who they are. Right, and they're at the. Okay, let's see how long this is. This is on the web, from what I gather, although it
Introducing
looks.
Reach, the first web platform for creating and sharing volumetric VR using real people and places. Built by the pioneers at Emblematic Group, Reach is an easy-to-use, browser-based solution that makes the power of walk-around VR available to anyone. Reach lets you craft your own volumetric stories in 3 easy steps using a simple drag-and-drop interface. First, you access a library of 3D locations, many of them captured using stunning high-resolution photogrammetry. You can also upload locations you have created yourself. Then, use our simple tool to add your own real-life video interviews, volumetric characters, or 3D assets. Finally, you can share the results via a simple web link. No need for downloads or dedicated apps. Reach eliminates all the distribution barriers facing room-scale VR. Viewers can navigate stories on a smartphone, tablet, or PC, or put on a headset and walk around for full immersion. Sign up now to discover how far you can reach into the future where the stories we tell are as vivid and three-dimensional as the world we inhabit.
Well, that told you for me, didn't it?
It did.
Ah,
Yep.
it's nice to have a little break. Okay, so the website there is Reach, and believe it or not, the suffix is love. So www.reach.love.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. I need a Malburn's love.
I think
Yes,
so.
I
Yeah.
do. Yes, I didn't know there was a suffix called love,
I
but there
did
you
not
go.
either. Right.
Yeah, so that was Reach anyway, and obviously Malburn, Twitter.com Malburns will have the necessaries for you there. That was back on Thursday, 21st of May. Um, right, scrolling down here, I'm missing out some of the probably, I won't say less important, but less headlining kind of things here. Um, okay, this was quite big news on Friday 22nd. Nreal Light AR glasses get multi-user shared spaces and now support WebXR. Um, those are the kind of things for wearing that I'm not
Dreaming
overly
of. You're
annoyed at.
dreaming of them.
Well, they exist, but they are augmented reality, but rather than anything else. But uh, they basically got a new one called um, Light. It's called Light, and it's a more affordable and Android-based wearable. So it's Nreal Light, basically. Um, yeah, Chinese startup too. Anyway, you read more about this at Virtual Reality Times. That's three words squashed together. Virtualrealitytimes.com for that one. There was quite a lot of coverage in the days following that. Um, Now, I'll just mention this because I can read it out without actually posting. Well, I might as well post a link so there's something on screen for you. Um, Magic Leap laid off a whole load of people and said they were going to be concentrating on the enterprise. Well, no sooner they'd done that than they managed to raise another
Right.
$350 million and put all their layoffs on hold. So if you were having a startup, getting a startup going, you will want the CEO of Magic Leap. Although apparently he's left his job now. That's the other news. Ever since they were first announced, they've had an uncanny ability to raise money. Click their fingers. So they've saved the jobs of 1,000 people, and they've now got more money to play with and try and get stuff going again. So I mean that really is quite funny in some ways. Anyway, that news item is at engadget.com. That's engadget.com. And they're back with us, so to speak. What else can I say? Their CEO has apparently stepped down this week. Which is this is Friday, nearly over a week ago. Um, but I don't think the two are related. I think he stepped down for another reason. Um, okay, The Verge has a post about Facebook teasing a vision of remote work in virtuality.
Hmm.
I'll let The Verge take care of that teasing for you. Um, We Are Summit. We Are Summit. I can't remember what that is. Wherever you are. Um, oh yeah, and here we are. A bit more of the old smell-o-vision as well. Right. There's a post at. Oh no, I'll bring it up in a minute. Right. OVR technology delivers first of its kind scent experience for VR. Um, Basically, it's. I don't know if I call it smell-o-vision. It's virtual smell basically, and one of the companies that's working on um, ways of doing it. Most of them I think are behaving a bit like printers, where the idea is they want to be able to mix components, to create, depending on the mix, you'll create different colors of smell, I suppose, is one way of putting it. Anyway, that is at thevara.com, THEVRARA.com, where you'll find that. And, that's all finished anyway, as it would be because it was 2 weeks ago. Okay, there was one. Here we are, Tokyo Magic Leap. Shodu, this is a website. There's been quite a lot of posts here through there. It's Shodu's Life in the Spatial Cloud blog. Now, Doug Thompson, the author here, is better known in, or used to be known in Second Life as Dusan Writer, and he's been fairly active on Twitter and at conferences and stuff. It's like he's disappeared for years and popped up out of nowhere again. But he's actually looking at how Magic Leap can succeed where Microsoft HoloLens does not. A kind of review of those two specific products side by side, rather than the greater landscape, so to speak. So you find that at shodu.net. That's shodu.net. Okay, Facebook prototype, Facebook prototype. Who gives a damn about Facebook prototypes? All right, what's this one? This is Dayton again. A Tale of Two Seminars. Oh, another review from Dave Burden, I guess, at dadenblog.blogspot.com. So it's dadenblog.blogspot.com. Tailored to seminars. He went to Engage VR and then another one in Second Life, and they share similar features, but most miles away from typical Zoom, and they couldn't have been more different. So again, he's done a comparison with Engage VR and yeah, eventually Second Life. Quite a long comparison, but he does like talking to stages. Right. Okay. Let's get that one out of the way. Posts advanced posts for who's doing what at all, so you don't need that now. Vice had the post about social networks and video games will change live event culture and behavior. This you'll find at vice.com, vice.com, and that was posted on 22nd of May. And well, there's a variety of stuff there too. Adventure Lab. Oh yeah, there's a post at Venture Beat. I'm not going to load it. How Adventure Lab have launched a co-op VR escape rooms with live hosts. How much of that depends on real world out of home stuff, though I'm not sure. Cinematic VR is here to stay as consumers demand an immersive experience. And damn it, it's gone to the wrong. It's gone to Twitter again instead. Here we are. Right, this is a site called LiveMint. www.livemint, LIVEMINT.com. And they reckon that cinematic VR is here to stay for immersive experiences. I have to admit, you know, the 360 virtual vision type stuff, as I call it, is very much, you know, an alternative to traditional cinema, and is something really that you can only have at home. It would be a bit boring to go to a traditional cinema and just sit in 360 headset. Anyway, that's yeah, it's an opinion piece basically. Okay. Hang on here a second. No. Oh, right, okay, well this is actually, let's load this one. This is one of two articles in about Second Life actually. This one's at Medium. It's medium.com and it's a section called Super Jump. How the virtual world of Second Life is a showcase of the metaverse. 17-year history of digital culture shows what to expect from the digital future. So a nice bit of PR for Linden Lab there. Sort of it's the first of two that they actually got in this period. So medium.com is where you'll find that one. Okay, that's the one with. Oh, hang on, this may work. Okay, I did mention this. It's too long to go. This is Kent By. This is his Voices of VR Twitter feed. Kent By Voices of VR. You can see how it's spelt there. This is him talking in the new high fidelity, basically, with Philip Rosedale.
Oh yeah. The model of the unconference, which is that
and
you get a bunch of people together, and then
this is how fidelity looks. You've got a flat floor pan, and you've got a photo icon of the people talking.
That dynamic of the break-off conversations, where you have the agency to locomote your body through a space, I think is one of the magic things about a conference.
Anyway, to hear that in full for the moment, you'll have to look up Kent By Voices of VR on Twitter there.
Yeah, exactly. Like you talked about agency.
He may, of course, publish it
that idea of agency,
later.
I like that you use that word. You've always given a lot of deep thought to these words.
Yeah. Anyway, can't be broadcast out for 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Right, powering the next generation of virtual music experiences. This came up last Sunday, just before the show we didn't do. This is at vrscout.com. From Minecraft to the metaverse, digital concepts are emerging from diverse platforms, and they talk about one in Fortnite by Travis Scott and um, uh, various various other music events that are actually happening in virtual worlds. So that's at vrscout.com. Okay, I'm not going to do that one. The Dean Beat, right. Page 2 of 2. What happened to page 1 of 1? Okay, okay, this is venturebeat.com. It's time to hurry up and build the metaverse. Is that article. And, well, there's some quotes from various different people involved. And for some reason, that link on my Twitter feed goes to page 2 instead of page 1. But I'm sure you'll figure that out if you follow the link. So quite a long article there. Well, it would be 2 pages, you see. All right. This is another one that takes us to oh, sorry, that's a tweet from somebody else actually. It's Blair McIntyre talking about hi-fi. Right. Moving on to Monday 25th, so we're actually in the last week now. Yeah, the Ghost Towels. We showed you that last week, so this a few minutes ago, but that would have been earlier this week, May 25th. The XR Wheatbeak at scarghost.com, SKARREDGHOST.com, and of course it covers a whole load of stuff from the preceding week. There will be another one of those quite naturally tomorrow, which Monday is the day he brings that out. Let's see. Virtual meetings are the new Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be a site called Freethink. Yes, it is. I don't know where they came from. Freethink, FREETHINK.com. And you can now attend meetings in VR even without a headset. We always were. The headset's the new bit, but never mind. They're maybe a bit late, but there we are. They're looking at spatial in particular, which is looking quite good. Right. Yeah. Did I get? Oh, yes, I did give you a link for that, didn't I? Right. Behavioral health learning. Virtual reality, the new cognitive training for older adults. There we are. This is at psychcongress.com. PSYCHCONGRESS.com. And, well, it's all in the title there, really. It's not, but it's just a very short little thing with various links to references at the bottom. So, Psychiatry and Behavioral Health Learning Network. You get all sorts here, you know.
Sure.
Right, and this one's a curious one I remember too. A university project shows hot and cold temperature change VR research. They've basically come up a way, a thermal display emitting. I think we actually covered something like this on a previous show. A recent project by university researchers demonstrates a new method of emulating hot and cold sensations whilst in virtual reality by using a thermal display emitting specific scents that trigger the feeling of a change in temperature. Now, I said earlier that the old smell-o-vision or smell thing seems to be a bit like a printer where you're mixing perfumes or scents, you know, some base ones to get, the multitude of different scents. Um, this interestingly uses pepper, a chili or something like that, and mint as extremes. So you have kind of, if you're in virtuality and you're walking around in an Arctic landscape, they will feed you mint into your nose, and if you're in a desert, they'll give you pepper, chili, or something, and they to recreate other sort of weather conditions, I suppose.
Hmm.
They use the peppermint in different strengths. Very old sort of stuff. But you can find this at this particular post is at uploadvr.com, uploadvr.com. It's sort of God, just think someday we're gonna have our bodies covered with everything except the real world. Right. Oh, this was simply yeah, this is simply interesting. Actually, for anybody, I'm sure anybody watching this would agree. Um, this is at theverge.com, theverge.com, and published on May the 25th. It's all about, I suppose it was a virtual world of sorts, Sim City. And it's a forgotten history of their business games division. SimCity was obviously a consumer sort of thing, but they started a business simulations wing, which they describe as strange, ambitious, and doomed.
Hmm.
But they look at the history of this. It's like a little history lesson, and the Sims is a pretty big sort of thing. But this attempt at the time to get into the business market appears to have, as they say, been doomed. But there you are, good old floppy disks and Maxis. Well, they tried, and yeah, good on the Verge for digging that up and immortalising their attempt, shall we say. Right, always nice to have a little offbeat fun read now and again. Okay, okay, that's Metaworld News again. Okay, let me swipe right by here. Um, right, consumer 5G platform XR Space is solely focused on social connectivity. Oh God. Love the double clicks. Okay, this is vrfocus.com. Yes, again, vrfocus.com. And consumer 5G platform XR Space is launching. Um, it's it's been launched by the former CEO of HTC, who make one of the headsets. Um, and it's made up of XR Space Mova, which is a 5G capable standalone headset, and XR Space Manova, which is a social world where users can connect. And obviously, the two go together to make XR Space itself. So it's hardware and software. But the interesting thing about this is that it is their intention um, to focus solely on making this XR space a social world. They're not attempting to be a game or a platform for games or anything like that. They want hand tracking, gesture, and all that sort of stuff straight out of the box. Large amounts of RAM by the sound of it, and they say it instantly conjures up thoughts of Sansar or high fidelity. Um, but Manova will feature customizable full body avatars, public and private locations, neighborhood areas, personal home spaces, and etc. etc. So that could be a contender, albeit needing quite a lot of hardware for one of our future social worlds. Let's just see. That's 2 minutes long, but it might give us an
Behind
idea.
every advance of mobile technology, there is always one single goal: to build human connections. An entire world to make that happen.
There we are. We're inside.
To explore. We will be able to wander around, make new friends, jump into things we love in an instant, and share the best moments.
Well, given time, I think you can get the idea there. There is something very familiar about those avatars, and that it's like just as Opensim, installations and things have that sort of slight sort of likeness to Second Life. built on similar engines. So a lot of these new worlds have great similarities in the appearance and movements of their avatars and things. Obviously, it has to do with what altering software they're using underneath the platform, but I quite like seeing these clips of different versions of avatars. Right, so vrfocus.com is the site where you'll find that. The site there's got a new logo, so I keep forgetting where I am. Nothing new there then. Right. Oh, now this is funny. There's a wonderful Aardvark Animations in the UK. We're very fond of. They've been released about 30 or 40 years old now, it seems. Wallace and Gromit. They're these sort of model-based animation characters. It's just funny. They're much loved on British television, but I think they're shown all over the world these days.
Yep.
And apparently, the next series, delighting audiences for decades. Stop motion clay animation and British humour. There you go. But the new series, the pair are going to be stepping into augmented reality later this year with Wallace and Gromit: The Big Fix-Up. And I'm not quite sure how this works, but presumably instead of watching on your TV, you'll watch it on, I don't know, an iPad with an augmented reality, so you'll be seeing through the screen. You'll be getting a mix of broadcast TV and see through to your own environment or something. I don't know how they're going to do it. But big name there really. And yeah, they've got a few little teasers for you in. That gives you much idea at all either. To be honest, when I saw this,
Yeah, Gromit, these job orders are really taking the biscuit. Oh.
Yeah, I love them.
Stick and Sunmobile.
Okay, this is at vrfocus.com. Yes, again, if you want more of that. The clip there is funny actually, but it doesn't actually give me any sense of what the AR component is. It just looks like another bit of Wallace and Gromit, so complete with the lovely accents they have for those characters as well. Right, digital twins. We are getting there. We are getting there, folks. Okay, Virtual Perceptions. That's the name of the site here. Virtual Perceptions, all one word.com. Spelled just as you see it there, but obviously no space. And the article is Go Away. Sorry, that's me talking. Digital twins and AR VR. And again, this is actually a podcast at the Immersive Wire. But if you don't want to listen to the whole podcast, you can read a vague summary of it below there. Not the full thing, obviously, but a summary of it. So put that one away. Right, what are the releases? It's Tuesday. This I think was pretty much announced at all. HTC's former boss, Peter Chu, has a new immersive VR world. Does everyone now have a... Okay, well, so I'm not going there. It seems that doesn't normally have a paywall, that site, but it does now. Basically, well, it's a new VR world that I think you use in HTC headsets, but maybe over and beyond that. Oh, this looks interesting. Something that isn't actually too cumbersome. It's called a Feel Belt. It's a VR haptic device for gaming and music. And it's not the seat. It's that.
It's good, so you can get up and move around, right?
Yeah, this... Okay, that's quite a long promo about the look of it, but you can see the idea there, can't you? It's launched by Kickstarter, of course, so it's down to early bird pledges and stuff like that. So it's the sort of thing that hopefully will happen. It seemed like they've got a good prototype there anyway. Haptic wearable, and to enhance gaming, movies, and audio experiences. Uh, I suppose it might work. I don't know how much sensation you would get outside the region where the belt is, if you see what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's like those old VR chairs with kind of force feedback things where I've experienced one of those in a real world theme park. Um, where it was like a space ride, and the capsule bounces up and down. It's all hydraulics, and there's virtual reality fly through, but the chairs inside the thing rattled and wobbled into stuff. They made you feel like you're, in orbit and about to. Your spaceship was about to actually fall apart. The sensation wasn't actually at all pleasant because it was convincing in terms of worrying you, but I don't think
Mm-hmm.
it was quite convincing in terms of giving you a sort of oh, this is a comfortable ride thing. More like a ghost train than a space orbit. Never mind. Anyway, so this is the site I'm on here is geekygadgets.com. So it's GEEKY dash GADGETS.com. So no space, obviously, but there you are, geekygadgets.com for that one. And yeah. The London Evening Standard here, by the way, actually had a post about Oculus virtual reality headsets can simulate offices for the future of staff working from home. I got the impression they sort of missed the point completely because they weren't addressing the comfort issue or anything. They were just saying, well, you can go use headsets now and you can pretend to be in the office when you're working from home. Presumably in an office that would be... there was a comment earlier in the week from somebody who says so they pity the poor VR designers who are working for companies who've tasked the designers to recreate offices online for the pandemic,
Yep.
The idea being that most of the bosses, they'll be telling these otherwise talented designers to, oh, just copy our real world office and put it in the virtual world, and missing the point, of what is not possible and what is possible in a slightly different environment. The way they work together and complement each other rather than just mimic each other. Right. Okay, this is you never know with this stuff. This is a post in the virtual library section at Medium, and May 19th this is up. You can also play it as a podcast there. For Talking Reality is the name of the podcast. Basically, it's just looking at XR patents that have been filed to watch for in this quarter of the year. They're obviously keeping an eye on patents that have been applied for and granted, and what might be happening with them in the immediate future. Okay. The future of AR and VR, of course. This is a site called Abundance Digital, and okay. Oh, actually, you are okay here. You I think 4 episodes. Okay. Paywall video. By the look of it, I'm sure I was able to look at those originally, but never mind. Social VR apps, The Battle to the Top. This is another one at Virtual Library at Medium. Various other links on my feed, basically, to specific things that actually happened, reports from, or videos of events that happened at the OR conference. And that takes us up to Wednesday, which I think brings me up to date, more or less. Social VR, it's the battle to the top. So this is an article with Tom Sharman, May 27th at Medium. What is social VR, and looking at the various platforms racing to the top. Nothing actually new here. He hasn't discovered anything I haven't heard of, but social VR could be the future of social media, but he thinks it's unlikely to be anytime soon. Probably chose the wrong platforms to try out. Okay, Pico Neo 2 and its eye tracking. This may be hardware tech. Scar Ghost had a post on Calcom envisaging fully standalone 5G slim glasses within 10 years, um, which is interesting, but I'm not really looking 10 years ahead. 10 days, please. Right. This is Pico Interactive making its Neo 2 line of standalone headsets available for purchase worldwide. This is their new headset. Pico has done ones before, but this is a new one apparently, and it's a base model $700 US, and there's an eye tracking variant which is $900 US. So just a new, more advanced model of the Pico helmet there. Taste display brings fake flavors to your tongue. Different company, but a similar thing to mixing mixing different. Well, actually, no. Let's open it quickly. It's different, but similar to the smell thing. The idea is that you mix certain types of food to create artificially create particular flavors. So you mix sweet, sour, salty, and bitter flavors, and depending on the concentrations of each, the specific flavors tasted will fool us, I suppose.
Yeah, that's going to go well with the virus.
Well, yeah, exactly. There's something rather odd here. We now know that distribution is more evenly spread out across the tongue, and that a fifth flavor called umami, UMAMI, plays a big part in our enjoyment of food. So that will presumably be... Yes, you're right. It's yeah, interesting, and presumably that you'd have to wash that after each meal, and you wouldn't be sharing it. But well, I suppose it's
pass it around the table, please.
It's a bit like it, no? You'd probably just have to have enough on the table for everybody eating. Or the idea is if you, I don't know, it's sort of I mean, if you had the smell of salt water as you're walking by a stream in in virtual reality, and then you kneel by the stream and take a scoopful of, wash your face, and accidentally swallow a bit of the salt water, then this could come in useful for giving you the salty water taste. But not for actual eating at the dinner table, please. Anyway, yeah, we got taste, we got smell, we got sound, we got vision. What's the sense that's missing? And we got touch. We got touch.
We've got touch.
No senses left untouched. And if empathy is a sense, then that's covered too. So all six senses in VR now. Gosh golly. Right. Okay. This will be in the Metaworld news feed, I'm pretty sure. They're all mixed up in Slack here. Basically, this is Science Space, the virtual world. It's a creator spotlight on a designer called Anatomy, who does pips. So that's blog.sign.space for that. And that shall go, hang on, Thursday, 28th of May. Let's just check I haven't missed anything here. Oh yeah, another partnership happened in the week. Best to cover it, I guess. This is a company called Varjo and a service called Meet in VR. And they've partnered together. They announced this at the All Conference to create a photorealistic enterprise collaboration. And you can go and see cars in augmented reality, I guess. Basically, I think there's nothing new here except that the two businesses, one being software and one being hardware, have actually combined to collaborate on their latest open beta and increased realism over and beyond what they've done before. Okay, that's at vrfocus.com, lest I forget. Miss your office. Some companies are building virtual replicas. That's at the Wall Street Journal. And that, of course, is the problem, isn't it? Building replicas rather than complementary material. Okay. I think 3D game engine means business. Oh, one final one from Scarred Ghost. It'll probably be covered in tomorrow's roundup. It's Luke's id Link review. Analyze your mind in VR. This was a talk at the conference about brain-computer interfaces, not just brain-computer interfaces, but brain-computer interfaces in virtual reality. And Tony, what's his name, loves that topic. He says, Lucid Labs is a Korean company working on a device to detect brainwaves when the user is immersed in virtual reality, etc., etc. So read more about that at scarredghost.com. That's SKARREDGHOST. And investors are saying that emerging multiverses are the future of entertainment. Will they be or won't they? Certainly they are. Seem like they will be in the pandemic times. So this article's at techcrunch.com. TECHCRUNCH. And I think that's all it. They are. Oh yeah, this is midweek. The VR download is a weekly VR news live from their virtual studio. Actually, that was starting soon, but believe me, it's actually happened. Oh yeah, it's happened. There we are. I'm obviously not going to play it, but it's quite nice. If you're interested in VR generally, that's quite nice.
Yeah, I attend every week. It's a good show.
Yeah. Do you actually attend this or
I
just
do.
listen to
Yep.
it?
Yep.
Oh,
I
right.
enjoy it.
Okay. Oh, maybe I'll join you on a flat screen. Oh, well, actually, it's midweek, isn't it? Wednesday or something like that?
Thursdays and Central
Thursday.
Time is 3 o'clock now. They'd been jumping around in the time
Right.
schedule, but they seem to have settled at 3 o'clock on Thursdays, Central Time, U.S.
3 in the afternoon, so that would be about 8 or 9 for me. Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
might be a good
Yeah.
one to hop in on. Yeah. Do they have audience participation, or is it just a matter of sitting in the audience and listening to?
Just I watch on YouTube, and but they do monitor their YouTube chat, and so people are
Oh, I
commenting
see.
and
So,
offering questions.
yeah, I see. So
Yep.
when you say attend, you attend in YouTube and
Right. Right.
chat on the side screen. Right. Okay. I thought you meant they actually had an virtual audience in
Yep.
Altspace or whatever it is.
No, I don't think
Right.
anyone's brave enough to do that.
Yeah. Not yet.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of contention in this industry, so that's a
Yeah.
tough.
Well, trouble with audiences is unrestrained. They come burst in on voice and ruin
Right.
your show, and Oh, that was an interesting thing about the high fidelity audio solution, and that is that it's not just spatial, but the version Ken Bai did now these sort of concentric circles in them,
Mhm.
and depending on where you position you walk to on the map. Like the outside of the concentric circle it's called like lurking, and you will barely hear anything. But then there'd be other rings where you'd hear the voice like you're in the audience, and then there'll be obviously then a separate um, level in the center of the ring, which would like be the equivalent of a stage. But you could use that concentric circle thing to moderate sound in a virtual space. If you had a virtual space on top of it, as it were, so you could have somebody on a stage and somebody in the front row. Maybe front row people could interrupt, but anybody further back could not. So there was some sort of control
Yeah.
over
Yep.
over that, and also there was directional as well as spatial, as in distance. There was also directional audio, and I found when I was talking, a load of people said, "Can I speak up? Can I speak up?" And I said, "God, that makes a change."
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm just normally saying people tell me to shut up, but yeah, apparently, and then what actually happened was they all moved in around me closer. But what actually happened is from barely hearing me at all. The moment I stayed on the spot but turned around my direction, then apparently I came in quite loud. So depending on which way I was facing, was actually affecting the way they were hearing me, which was kind of another thing I had to get used to. But you know, it's just practice makes perfect. But I thought I'd mention that anyway, since we're
Yeah, it'd be helpful. Yep.
on. Right, so yeah, and I think, yep, we're back on the Burning Man. I think, yep. So, who are we? Oh yeah. Oh, oh, that's the electronic side again, but it's a different page. Ah, that's weird. Don't know why I did that. Okay, I'm just going to check the. Oh yeah, I didn't know they'd had an outage, but apparently they're back. Hypergrid Business report that Globids, which is the intergrid currencies on Opensim and elsewhere, in fact, had actually been offline for a while, but they're back online. They've also got a site in Tangle Grid with free shops available for people if you want them. Apparently, it was a problem with Amazon's web services, and they got into a bit of a bad state and wouldn't recover on their own, so they had to do a full reboot. But it doesn't look like they were off for very long. But obviously, it did affect quite a lot of different grids on Opensim that actually use Globits for their currency. Arena Core, Hypergrid Hop. Right, this is July the 1st. That's ages away yet. It's a 3-week group exhibition, 8 artists and their works, and it's called Arena Call, and it will be on craftworld.org in a region called Ebla. But that is quite a long way away yet, so we'll have to try and remember to sort of post that nearer the time. In the meantime, if you want to read more about that, it's at hypergridhop.com. That's hypergridhop.com. Another YouTube. Moon Glider. Yeah, just a nice film there. This was filmed in the virtual world of Sansar. Sansar used to be run by Lyndon Lambert, High Fidelity. It's now under new management, so I've changed its category, as it were, from the SL feed to the Open Metaverse feed. The virtual world's general feed is what I mean. Right, Pilgrim in the Metaverse. That's another. It's another video on my feed. Here we are. Miss your office. Some companies are building virtual replicas. Typical. Interesting though that this particular post is at Wall Street Journal, which of course is a big site, basically, big journal. So nice that they're actually covering stuff like this.
That's because Forbes has been covering so much.
Yes, they probably think we've got to get in the act.
We got to get in the act.
More
right.
more the merrier, though. I'm not going to complain, are we? This is Hypergrid Zone again. Except it doesn't seem to be in the mood for displaying whatever was there, so we'll forget that. Oh, okay, this could be quite interesting. This is a Road to VR. I think I'll call this the last one for now. It's just looking at 2 tools where you can make your own avatar for social VR hubs like VR Chat and Mozilla Hubs. One is called Taffy Avatars, which works with VR Chat, and the other is Ready Player Me.
And we covered that one a while back.
We have covered that separately, and that works with Mozilla Hubs. The original, the same company under a different name, but also it's the same technology. It makes one from your selfie. They also made an avatar that you can actually use in high fidelity, the old high fidelity, and the avatar that it makes were the Tivoli and Vicadia are 2 worlds that you'll be hearing more of soon, which are based on the open source high fidelity code. This Ready Player Me avatar will work with those too. I'm not sure the uploading procedure, but the underlying code and stuff is so much similar that they'll work. So if you're going to make one, I would suspect the Ready Player Me site is probably the place to go to. And it's easy. You just press a button saying create avatar. It takes a selfie of you and then prepares the avatar. Couldn't be easier.
Yep.
And very quick too. So, yeah, I think we're go on that. What have I got here in the picture library, so to speak? Okay, this is well, we've shown this before. This is the graphic that is on the all the releases about the VR AR conference that starts tomorrow through Wednesday, and there we are. That's its official VR AR Global Summit, UTC, Universal Time, and it's in UTC in order that they can cover 3 time zones. That's what they're actually saying there. And oh yeah, this is called Op VR, I think. Couldn't find much information on this at the time. I just snapped a picture from I think it was a preview or something, but they're in a sort of case there. You can gauge by the thing of the nose and whatever. Those look very compact, and they've got a side thing. They are more like glasses than a headset, but somewhat bulkier than the augmented reality headsets I've seen. Now, I think apparently these are for VR, so I'll be keen to hear a bit more about that when it comes along. Are there any other pictures of the week here? Oh yeah, weekly art gallery in Rec Room. Rec Room, I think, if I recall, is one that does require a headset, however.
Nope, that's desktop too.
That's desktop too.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
right. So the gallery there. This is XR Space, which I mentioned earlier. This is just a screenshot from inside XR Space. Look. Oh, this is oh, I know. Right now, talk about segue. Look what's there. It's a British type red telephone.
Oh,
booth.
right.
But look what's here.
Oh, you just disappeared from Kitely.
Oh dear. Okay.
But
right.
who was there an avatar there to recognize?
No, I've logged out of Kitely, unfortunately. Are you still getting my screen share?
Yeah, screen share's fine.
Right. Okay. I'll just log back in quickly.
I'm paying for
that. Yeah, I was on 2 pictures. One of which had a UK type phone box.
Yeah.
In the background,
Yep.
which is what I was saying.
I see that one.
And, yeah.
And are you in there?
No, it's just Firestorm's already running. Oh God.
Are you in the photograph with the red phone box?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Not at all. Well, it could be one of my early avatars, could it? No, I then moved to another scene that I'd taken. I clipped during the week. I love collecting clips of what looks like deserted ruins and stuff like that. But
right.
this one had a UK telephone box in the foreground. It's really funny in the real world in London here, anyway. Whenever you pass by these now, I mean, they still look like a red telephone box, but they no longer have telephones in them. They are simply Wi-Fi hotspots, and they've got a little thing in them where you can buy a card, to get Wi-Fi time, and then stand in the street outside the phone box on Wi-Fi. You'd much better going into a cafe, really, but they move with the times, put it that way.
Right.
And what's that? Oh God, I keep clipping. I keep clipping. What's it say? Oh, there's the other one. Right. Yeah. I had 2 more. This is a picture of a studio, like a TV or film style studio built in the Engage platform. Obviously, you can see it's or despite the lighting, it's basically green screening kind of stuff, so they can do quite a lot of playing around with it. And I don't know, I presume you have them in America, but when kids become toddlers, you often buy them these little things called walkers.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And they walk around, sitting in them, and they've got their little table where you give them their food and everything. Well, this apparently is a restaurant coping with COVID.
Oh, right.
You get in one of these before you go down there into the restaurant, and they then serve you. And having one of these means you maintain the 2 meter distance,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got a ready-made table for you inside. Now, I actually quite like the idea of that. I mean, can you imagine we get rid of all the cars, and instead of cycling or even walking, people just trot down the street in one of these? And I don't know, but the outside of that looks a bit like a rubber, like a tire thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it reminds me of what we used to have in the circuses as a kid, the Dodgem cars.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Where a Dodgem car basically, they're toy cars, but with this rubber thing around them. So you crash them into everybody, into other people all the while. And, they get a jog, and you get a jog too, but it's rubber, and it
Mm-hmm.
just dissolves around you. Well, whilst I'm blabbering away there, half concentrating, I'm now back in World
You're
as well.
back. Yep, I see
Quite
you.
quick, yeah. So that's the end of the Malburn's picture post as well. Okay, where are we? That's it. I think we've covered everything that I was after covering, or 2 weeks worth.
Yeah, that was
No
a
idea
marathon.
how long we've been on air.
We have been on air 1 hour and 56 minutes.
Oh, well, we're under 2 hours. So actually, that's like
Just
just under an
barely,
hour
yeah.
for each of the weeks. I must admit, actually, I found in some ways pulling up the links there in the second half using Slack. Um, if I actually zoom in to make the text bigger next week, it might be a better way of doing it than the way I have been doing it here.
Well, we should have a post-broadcast review discussion.
Yeah. Well, it would mean I had more. It would also mean I had slightly more screen. Well, screen space there. So I'd be able to make the broadcast frame a bit bigger. Get more in. Anyway, that's that. Okay. Well, did you have any thoughts, by the way? I know with 2 hours you're probably dead,
Yeah.
half dead. But
Yeah.
any thoughts on any of that news there?
No, I dare not contribute anything. I think I think there was plenty in there, so that sounds good. No, one thought I did have was because you mentioned at the beginning of the show and then at the end is the idea of rebuilding virtual spaces rebuilding real spaces inside virtual spaces, and just the comment that was a very typical practice when we were trying to build educational things in the virtual world to try and connect, the funders, the people who are funding projects, to give them something recognizable. But it in the end, it doesn't help that much to have a rebuild of your real space in the virtual space and make that connection. It's great for onboarding, but after that, it doesn't help.
Well, I mean, it's not only a bit cliche when you consider how much more you could do in a virtual environment
Mm-hmm.
than the real world, but it is inhibiting too. Like I've always approved of seats because I think they're a very recognizable thing for somebody new, to see a seat and click on it and sit, as they might do in an auditorium or a lecture theatre or something like that. Um, it doesn't make your avatar doesn't care whether he or she is standing up or sitting down, but there's a kind of association with sitting down that makes you think get comfortable and sit down and listen. Also, of course, you can put a script in the seat that actually makes the viewers zoom into the stage so that it feels a bit more like locking you into the presentation.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that if you build to scale an avatar and a building like a house,
Yeah.
you find that the corridors that are to scale and actually are the right width for the avatar, you can't walk down them and turn corners and through doors as
Right.
easily in virtual reality as you can in the real world. You need to feel comfortable moving around in the virtual world. You need to actually have much more space around you than
That's right.
an average build would give you. So,
But then also
building a school,
when you go into virtual reality with a headset,
Yeah.
A lot of these worlds, like Opensim and Second Life, are too big. If you're wearing a headset, everything looks really large.
Right. Because well, of course, the viewers for these worlds aren't designed
Right.
for headsets. I
Right.
mean, the closest you come is like the big screen thing, where you could project the virtual world in front of you on a screen inside the headset without being in the world that's on the screen, if you see what I mean.
Hmm. Yep.
But enough already. We're going
Right.
off on tangents right there, I think. Right, okay. Well, I think we're done. I think we're done
I
on
think we've
Dredge's
done
Mouse
it.
here. Anyway,
Yep.
doing double time is not fun. Although it is wonderful fun bringing you all the news of the week, of course. So I think we can say our farewells. It's goodbye from this bloke.
All right. Well, thank you, Mel, and goodbye from that bloke.
Ah, and thank you, James. So I say farewell from both of us, and we will return same time, same place next week with hopefully a slightly shorter show, but you never know. Have a good week, all, and stay safe.